fertilizers as a space is doing well at this point in time. Sonia.
By the way, I also want to mention, that today in the auto space, the day belongs to Bajaj Auto. It's a fresh high for Bajaj Auto at 4,100. And now the stock is up almost 27% for the year. That's Bajaj Auto. There's lots happening in the auto space, and we'll take that conversation forward. But this is one stock that I just want to point out, hitting a fresh high today. But CG Power reported very good set of Q1 numbers. The company posted a 60% revenue growth and also saw margins expand to 11.5% from 10% last year. Further, CG Power has also had a 200 crore capex plan, which is in the works. To discuss this, we are joined by Natarajan Srinivasan, the Managing Director at CG Power. Mr. Srinivasan, good morning and thanks for joining in. I want to start by asking you about the export market, because there's a huge crisis in Europe, especially with the electricity costs, the gas prices hitting the roof. Have you seen any slowdown over there? Because I understand that you had a sizable amount of exports a few years ago. What is the situation at the moment?
So there is definitely a potential, but we are not positioned at this point of time to look at exports in a big way. So this company had a very big transformer plant in a place called Kanjurmarg near Mumbai. Even about 7-8 years back, I think the exports could be used about 1,000 crores in transformer. But when we got in, fine during the last 3-4 years, I think that the factory was sold and then it was cannibalized. So right now we don't have capacity to look at exports, but we are gearing ourselves.
Could you quantify that? I mean, what would export revenues be, say, once this picks up for the full year? What kind of numbers are you looking at, sir?
So the exports, it will take some more time. From the transformer side, it will take some more time. Right now in the motor space, but still, transformer and switchgear we're exporting maybe about 500 crores in a year. Similarly, about 10% of our sales used to be exported for motors. We are trying to maybe slightly up it up this year, maybe about 15% or so. But domestic demand is strong, therefore we can't export at the cost of domestic market.
Okay. Mr. Srinivasan, can you tell us what are the big triggers for the company now in terms of growth? What are you looking at? You have an unexecuted order book, I think, to the tune of almost 2,000 crores in the industrial systems segment. But what could be the growth trajectory for the company?
So industrial segment consists of both railways and motors. Motors, actually, the demand drivers, if you ask me, first is, domestic demand. The industry itself is expected to grow about 7-8% because of the demand in the user industries, the infrastructure, chemical, then paper, cement, every industry is firing. Therefore, the domestic demand itself is likely to go up. When industry grows about 7-8%, we can grow about more in double digits. This is one part. Second is this China plus one factor. We have been receiving inquiries from very many of the MNCs for supply. Discussions are on. Nothing is finalized, therefore I'm not able to say anything more. But this could be a great trigger. If something gets finalized, the orders volumes will be quite large. This is the second. And then the third is actually, which can happen in the next couple of years, the EV segment. We are positioning ourselves to cater to the EV segment by developing motors and controllers for the EV. But there also, we are in discussion with a lot of people, so a lot of development work is going on. So these triggers actually, then last is actually the export. Export definitely is on our radar. Once we increase our capacity, definitely we'll be able to export because we clearly see there are some opportunities. So these four actually could take the motor business continuously for the next several years. There could be a lot of opportunities to grow in double digits. The second leg of business in industrial is railways. Railways, actually, we so far we have been only doing products. We manufacture traction motors, signal equipments, and relays and things like that. Railways have announced a massive capex of about 1 lakh crore to be executed over 5 to 7 years. There are different opportunities. One is on the Vande Bharat trains. Second is Vande Bharat trains. 400 trains are initially expected to be. 200 trains tender is already out. Another 200 trains are likely to come. So this itself is a big order. Each train costs about 140 to 150 crores to be is required for making one train. And then, on the loco side, railways want to up their capacity from 6,000 to 9,000 HP to 12,000 HP. But both the Vande Bharat trains and the loco enhancement, you have to partner with somebody who already has got a demonstrated track record. So we are talking to a lot of global players. If it gets tied up, then we'll be able to participate in the tenders. This is one. If that is not possible, all these tenders have to be executed with a lot of Indian content.
Got it.
Then otherwise, we could see opportunities to supply them. Some of the components are where could be of use. Then there is also there are metros which we have never participated. We are exploring whether we could participate in the metro opportunity.
So
the last is actually on the communication side. The railways have come out with a program on the safety side, what is called as TCAS, Train Collision Avoidance System. That the entire 75,000 kilometers they want to implement. Right now, only 2,000 kilometers orders have been released. So this could be an opportunity for again next 7-8 years. Then lastly, wherever railways used to have mechanical interface, now they are converting into electronic interlocking. So these are areas where we have not tied up technology, or we are both working indigenously as well as trying to talk to some people. So once it gets tied up, there will be a bigger opportunity. Therefore, both these, both motors as well as railways have multiple opportunities for growth.
Right. I mean, that's a long list of things which you are eyeing where you're not present, but you clearly see yourself participating, right? This is all in the industrial segment. By the way, what is the split between power and industrial segments right now? Revenue split?
So right now, it's about 65-35.
65 power, 35.
Power was actually, power growth was stunted because we took some time to set right. So eventually, power will also grow.
Yeah. No. So my question is to do all that you are kind of eyeing. Would you have you surely have to do capex, right? Invest. Could you give us some idea? What are plans there?
See, on the motor side, definitely we require capex to increase our capacity. We are evaluating. One is, the normal capex we are spending close to about 70-80 crores this year on motors for debottlenecking and balancing, etc. That will release about 10 to 15% of the capacity. So the existing capacity plus whatever is getting released should take care of our requirements for the next couple of years. In between, we are looking at setting up grassroots plant. We are evaluating the sizing, location, etc. So once that is done, definitely some kind of investment, fresh investment for a new project will be required. Investment could be of the order of anything between 400-500 crores to be implemented over a period of 12 to 24 months. This is for motors.
Motors, okay, yeah.
So railways, actually, this will be a project requirement. Whatever you participate in, whatever you build, ultimately you sell it to the railways. Therefore, it is not some expenditure for meeting some capability requirements. Expenditure will be required. If you align with somebody, and then how it will be spent, one what share, etc. What kind of arrangement? All those things have to be thought through. I see more that expenditure is not significant, but more of a working capital and some marginal expenditure for creating some infrastructure. That's what I see as far as railways is concerned.
Got it. On the motor side, though, in the next 12 to 24 months, 400 crores to set up a greenfield plant may be required. You're evaluating, right? Just a bit on the power side now. How do you see things there? I mean, in the annual report, you do highlight a fair bit of opportunity there as well, right? Renewable, smarter grid, smart metering, distribution. How are things going to pan out this year and the next?
So actually, if you look at power, to give you a little bit of background, one is, there are three segments. One is generation. Immediately after generation, there is transmission. Then there is distribution. We are not in generation, but we are certainly in transmission and distribution. Our products that we manufacture, that is transformers, switch gears, then circuit breakers, all those are used both in transmission and distribution. There is significant amount of investment that is getting into this industry. Now, if you see some overarching themes, one nation, one grid, power for all, then decarbonization, and in the last summer, actually, unusually, first time we experienced some kind of peak shortage. Therefore, another about 11 to 12,000 megawatt of capacity is getting added. And renewables, we know that how much of solar and other renewables are getting added in the next 3 years. Irrespective of the source of power, post-generation, the requirements are the same. Whether it is whatever be the generation, it is solar, any renewables, etc. Post-generation, transmission and distribution, whatever is really required, that requirements are the same. Therefore, we see a lot of opportunities for both for power transformers and distribution transformers can grow for next several years. The third aspect is, for example, given the digital push, there is a huge requirement of for the data centers that also, pushes the requirement of power as well as some kind of transformer and substations. So all these, so there are several drivers which actually which will contribute for the increase in the power requirement and consequently for transmission and distribution.
Okay, one final question on this, this separate EV, electric vehicle mobility business that you are planning to set up, that you have set up. You're looking to re-enter the three-wheeler and the EV tractor space. Just wanted some timelines on what you're looking at and what could the opportunity be?
Sonia, I think that is probably tube investments. I think
yes.
The EV mobility, tractor, etc., tube investments, it's our holding company. We are in the, we only want to cater to those users for setting up by developing motors and controllers for to be used by those electric vehicles.
Only be through the parent company, nothing on the CG Power listed entity, right?
CG Power, actually, we do manufacture motors. Therefore, we position ourselves. We want to position ourselves to develop motors for the every EV will have to have a motor and controller.
Sure.
Yes, three-wheeler, four-wheeler. The huge amount of demand right now.
So, have you got any orders on that front?
So it's all at a discussion stage, because orders means first you have to get the specification, develop prototype, then prototype has to be approved. Thereafter, you will get the order. So we are at the preliminary stages now.
All right.